Hey there, and welcome to Echoes of Age. This is the place where we talk real stuff about getting older, in a way that helps you feel stronger, stay sharper, and live better every single day. We're diving into the things no one really talks about when it comes to aging, but should. Let's jump in, Ted.
You know, there's something comforting about being at home, isn't there? A lot of people, especially as they get a little older, start to notice they don't really enjoy going out as much as they used to. Maybe it feels like a hassle. Maybe it's just that the world out there has gotten a bit noisier and busier than it once was. Or maybe, deep down, home has simply become the coziest and safest place to be. And while some folks might raise an eyebrow at women who prefer to stay in, the truth is, there are actually some surprising and very real benefits that come with not always feeling the need to step outside. In fact, today I want to share with you 5 of those unexpected upsides. And I'm not talking about the obvious ones like saving money on gas or avoiding bad weather. I mean the kind of benefits that can really make a difference in your life, your health, and even your peace of mind. Some of them might even surprise you. Let's start with the first one, which is about energy. When you think about it, the world outside can sometimes feel like it drains you, especially if you're someone who's more on the introverted side. Going out, dealing with crowds, running errands, all of that takes effort. For many older women, choosing to stay in more often isn't about laziness at all. It's about protecting their energy. And what happens when you protect your energy? You have more of it left for the things that really matter to you. Maybe it's a hobby, like painting or knitting or baking. Maybe it's reading a good book or writing letters to family and friends. Or maybe it's simply having the energy to enjoy a meaningful phone call with a loved one. Instead of coming home exhausted from a day of running around, you're left with a calmer state of mind and a body that feels less worn out. That's not a small thing. That's a real gift. Now, another benefit that people don't always think about is creativity. Isn't it funny how, when you're at home and you don't have a packed schedule, your mind actually has space to wander? It's in those quiet moments that inspiration often shows up. Some of the most beautiful ideas come to us when we're not rushing anywhere. When we're just sitting with a cup of tea, maybe watching the sunlight fall across the living room floor. Older women who spend more time at home often end up discovering new creative sides of themselves. They might start journaling, learning a new recipe, experimenting with music, or even gardening in little pots by the window. Staying in creates the perfect atmosphere for imagination to stretch its wings. And isn't that wonderful? At an age when some people think creativity belongs only to the young, many women find that their quiet time at home sparks whole new passions. And here's something else. Health. This one may sound unusual at first, but think about it. When you're at home, you're in control of your environment. You're not exposed to pollution from traffic. You're less likely to pick up seasonal colds or viruses, and you can choose exactly what food and drinks are available to you. Women who prefer to stay home often end up cooking more, which means healthier meals compared to eating out all the time. Even little choices, like making a pot of soup instead of grabbing fast food, add up over the years. Your home becomes a kind of personal wellness space, a place where you can decide how much noise, how much rest, and how much stimulation you want. That's a powerful kind of health protection. Another surprising benefit is emotional strength. Society often pressures women to always be on the go, always social, always available. But when you set boundaries and say, you know what, I feel better at home, you're actually practicing something very important: self-respect. You're honoring your own needs instead of living by other people's expectations. And that builds confidence. It reminds you that your choices matter and that you don't need anyone else's permission to live the way that feels best for you. This kind of self-assurance can grow stronger with age, and it can bring a sense of freedom that many women never expected to find in their 60s and beyond. And finally, there's connection. This one might seem backward. After all, how could staying in more often lead to better connection? But here's the thing. When you're not spreading yourself thin by going here and there just to keep up appearances, you start to focus on the relationships that actually matter. Instead of attending every little event or gathering, you spend time calling the people you really care about, writing heartfelt notes, or welcoming a close friend or family member into your own home for a more intimate visit. Those connections often become deeper and more meaningful because you're not distracted, you're present. You're really listening really sharing. And that makes bonds grow stronger. So, as you can see, choosing not to go out all the time doesn't mean missing out. In many ways, it's the opposite. It can open doors to new energy, creativity, health, self-respect, and stronger connections. Isn't that refreshing? Of course, I'm not saying that staying home every single day is the only way to live. Balance is always important. But the point is, if you're someone who prefers the peace and comfort home, you don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to think you're doing something wrong. In fact, you might be giving yourself a gift that others don't even realize exist. And that's only the beginning, because as we continue, we'll take a closer look at the deeper, and maybe even more surprising, ways that a life centered at home can actually enrich your later years. There are hidden strengths in choosing stillness, and in part 2, we'll explore how those strengths can lead to a life that feels fuller, not smaller. So, stay with me, because the next part will reveal even more benefits that may completely change the way you think about being someone who simply doesn't love leaving the house. So let's keep going, because we've already seen how staying home can give you more energy, spark creativity, protect your health, strengthen self-respect, and deepen connections. But those are only the first layers. When you look closer, there's something even more profound happening when a woman in her later years chooses a comfort home instead of the busyness of the outside world. Think for a moment about peace of mind. Out there, everything moves fast. The news is constant. Traffic is heavy. Conversations can be rushed or shallow, and people often seem impatient. At home, the pace is yours. You get to choose what sounds fill your ears, whether it's gentle music, birds outside the window, or simple silence. That kind of peace isn't just pleasant, it's healing. Stress is known to affect the body, raising blood pressure and making the heart work harder. But women who create a calm home environment give themselves a chance to let stress melt away. That sense of peace, repeated day after day, adds up to something powerful: a calmer heart, a clearer mind, and even a stronger immune system. And isn't it lovely to know that by simply honoring your own preference for staying in, you're actually giving your body a gift of peace? Another benefit has to do with identity. You see, when you're constantly out in the world, it's easy to get caught up in how others see you. People are always presenting themselves a certain way, showing off their clothes, their cars, their social life. But when you spend more time at home, you're freed from all that performance. You're not dressing for anyone else, not competing, not comparing. You get to just be yourself. And that self might be softer, wiser, more comfortable, more authentic. Many older women say they feel more like their real selves at home than anywhere else. That's not something to overlook. At a stage in life when authenticity feels more valuable than appearances, home becomes a stage where your truest self can shine. And then there's memory. Yes, memory. You might wonder, what does staying home have to do with memory? But think about it. When you're at home, you're surrounded by reminders of your life. Photos on the wall, keepsakes on the shelf, familiar smells in the kitchen. Every corner has a story. These gentle reminders help keep the mind active and the memory strong. They spark conversations with family. Do you remember when we bought that? Or this old clock used to sit in my mother's kitchen. Those moments are not just sweet. They're a form of mental exercise. They keep the brain engaged in recalling, connecting, storytelling. For women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, these daily memory workouts can be a blessing. Another surprising benefit is the ability to focus on inner growth. When you're younger, life is full of obligations: work, raising kids, managing households, being everywhere at once. In older age, with more time at home, there's finally space to look inward. Many women find themselves turning to meditation, prayer, or simply quiet reflection. They explore spiritual books, listen to uplifting talks, or just sit in stillness, asking themselves big questions they never had time for before. This kind of inner growth can bring a sense of fulfillment that rushing around outside often can't provide. It's a benefit that touches not just the mind, but the soul. And of course, there's safety. The world outside has its risks: slippery sidewalks in winter, careless drivers, crowded spaces that make falls more likely. At home, you can create an environment that feels secure and familiar. You know where everything is. You can set things up in a way that reduces risk and makes daily life easier. That sense of safety allows you to relax. It doesn't mean you live in fear of the outside world. It simply means you've chosen to honor the place where you feel most steady and protected. And that feeling of security brings a deep sense of comfort. But perhaps one of the greatest gifts of not always rushing out the door is the rediscovery of joy in small things. When you're not distracted by constant errands and obligations, you notice details. The way the light changes through the curtains at different hours. The smell of coffee in the morning. The laughter of a neighbor's child playing outside. These little things often go unseen in a busy life, but when you slow down, they become treasures. And isn't joy, after all, the very thing that makes life rich? Older women who embrace the quiet rhythm of home often discover that joy doesn't require grand adventures. It's already here, waiting in the simple moments. Now, let me be clear, none of this means that staying home is about cutting yourself off from the world. Quite the opposite. With today's technology, home can be a gateway. You can connect with loved ones across the globe through video calls, join book clubs or exercise classes online, even learn a new language if you wish. The home-centered life is no longer isolated. It's more connected than ever, but on your terms, in a way that respects your comfort and energy. That combination of comfort and connection is one of the most beautiful benefits of this lifestyle. And here's something that might surprise you most of all. By choosing to live this way, many older women end up inspiring others, younger family members, seeing a grandmother or mother content at home, begin to realize that happiness doesn't always come from chasing every new trend or filling the calendar with endless activities. They see that peace, health, and joy can come from simplicity. In that way, women who prefer to stay home often become quiet teachers, showing by example that life can be fulfilling without constant busyness. That's a legacy worth leaving. So, when you add it all together, energy, creativity, health, confidence, stronger connections, peace of mind, authenticity, memory, inner growth, safety, joy in small things, and even inspiration for the next generation, it becomes clear that not liking to leave the house isn't a weakness at all. It's a path full of hidden strengths and blessings. The truth is, we live in a world that celebrates speed, noise, and activity. But there's another kind of wisdom that grows with age, the wisdom to know that slowing down, staying home, and cherishing the simple things might just be the richest way to live. So, if you ever felt guilty for preferring your cozy chair by the window to a busy evening out, let this be a reminder, you're not missing out. You're building a life filled with calm, health, and meaning. And sometimes, the most surprising adventures aren't out there at all. They're right here in the quiet heart of home.